Good morning. Today we're going to be working on lesson 11:6. It's called Use Strategies to Practice Subtraction. So if you want to pause real quick and look in your math bag and take out your math paper, you're looking for this one right here. It's going to have 11-6 up here at the top. Okay, so if you have that, you are ready to get started, so you won't need to pause. Let me stick mine up here just for a second. So your I can statement today, which is our goal for what we're going to try to be able to do once we finish with this lesson, is just to be able to subtract using some different strategies. And throughout this topic, we've subtracted using a hundreds chart or a partial hundreds chart. We've subtracted kind of by counting on, which is kind of like or using addition to subtract. And we did skip a part in this topic, which worked with a number line, because we've worked with a number line before, and I thought we can since we've got to kind of crunch our days a little bit since we're running out of time, I did skip that lesson. So that is a strategy that I'll go over with you again. We have done that strategy at school before, but I'll review it because it might be one that works for you during this lesson. Okay, so we are going to try to subtract using some different strategies. Let me try to see if I can turn my board a little bit more forward. Okay. All right. So if you'll look at your paper in the green top bubble, she's saying something to us, and she says to solve the subtraction problem, use the strategy you think works best, and then explain why. Okay, so the subtraction problem that's on your paper says 60 minus 40, and I'm going to write it on my board so that it's larger because I know you all can't see my paper up close, so I'll write it here so it's larger. Okay, so if we had a 100 chart, now I have a hundreds chart here, but it is like the 101 up to 200, but we could pretend just for a minute that these ones aren't on here. Okay, so we'll just look for that number 60. Okay, so we're gonna kind of scribble out our 1 right here. Let's just mark those off. We kind of have to make do with what we have when we're doing distance learning from home, and I don't have everything here that would be in my classroom. So we're going to pretend that, let me slide it over so you can actually see it. We're going to pretend that those numbers that I marked out on that hundreds chart are not there. Okay. So one way that you could use a hundreds chart, now you'll have some partial hundreds charts and things on some of your paper that you can look at if you choose to do that, or you could get your parents to print off a hundreds chart for you. But if we have 60 and we want to subtract 40, in the pictures of the hundreds charts that you have used on previous lessons that have been printed on your paper, you would find 60. Okay, so again, we're going to pretend that these are marked out. Okay, so here's my 60, and I wanted to minus 40. So when I'm minusing, I'm going back up so my numbers are smaller. Okay, so if I'm using a hundreds chart, I'm going to take 40 away. Now I'm going to look at my 40 and see there's 0 ones and 4 tens. And I know that this column counts by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and I could keep going, 90, 100 if it was just a normal hundreds chart. Okay, so I've got to take away 4 tens. That means I'm going to move back up the column 4 times. So I'm starting at my 60. I'm moving up 1. That's I've taken 10 away. 2 means I've taken 20 away. 3, I've taken 30 away. 4, I've taken 40 away. So we could say 60 minus 10, 20, 30, 40 equals, what did I land on? 20. Okay, so I could put my 20 here. Okay, 60 minus 40 equals 20. Okay, so that is one way that you can subtract. Another way that you could do that would be, let me put my hundreds chart down, would be with a number line. So let's see what that would look like. I'm going to draw a number line. I'm not going to start at 0. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I have 60 on my number line. So I'm going to put 60 over here. Here's my 60. And then I'm going to put increments of 10, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. And I'm going to stop right there. Okay. So if I were subtracting 60 minus 40 using a number line, I would do my hops. I would start at 60 because this is how many I have. So I'd put my dot here on 60 and I'm going to hop. Okay. So that is a minus 10. Okay. That's one hop. I'm going to hop back to another number. That's another minus 10. Each one of these equals 10. So 2 10s equals 20. I need to make my hops a little bit shorter so I can get under my equation. So I'm going to hop back here again. That's another minus 10. And I'm going to hop back another time, and that's another minus 10 because I need to take 4 10s away. So here's 1 10, and let me move these down so that it looks consistent. So I've taken 1, 2, 3, 4 10s away, or I've taken away 10, 20, 30, 40, and I landed on 20. So again, 60 minus 40 would equal 20, okay? And then one more way that I could show that is addition to subtract, okay? So I could start at 40 and I could count up or add more to that until I got to 60, and I would do that in increments of 10, okay? So I could go from 40, if I'm counting by 10s, then I would go to 50, and then if I'm continuing to count by 10s, I would go to 60. And let's see if I move this over just a little bit so I can get it all on the screen. Let's say we start, and I'll use a different color. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to start at 40. And we're going to add. We're doing addition to subtract. So I'm going to add on counting by 10s until I get to 60, and I'm going to see how many 10s did I have to add to that 40 to get to 60. So if I start with 40, I add 10 more, that's 50. I add 10 more, that's 60, and 60 is the number that I'm trying to get to. So how many 10s did I have to add? 1, 2. So 2 10s is 20. Okay, so by counting on or adding more 10s, I had to add 2 of those before I got to 60. Okay, so 2 10s equals 20. Okay, that's 3 ways you can do it. Now I'm going to erase because I want to show you another way that you might like to do that. Okay, so another way that you might like to solve that problem would be lining them up. 60 minus, you have to be sure you put your 10s digits in a line and your 1s digits in a line, okay? And again, I'll make my chart that shows. Okay, so these digits over here are my 10s. I'll put a T for 10s, and these are my 1s, an O for 1s, okay? And then I would subtract. You have to remember that you are subtracting, you are not adding, okay? That's a lot of times that's where we make our mistakes. We don't pay close attention to what that mathematical operation is right there. And we're supposed to maybe add and we subtract, or we're supposed to subtract and we add. So I'm going to subtract my 1s place first. You always start with your 1s place. So 0 minus 0 equals 0. Now I'm going to move over to my 10s place. 6 minus 4, if I have 6 and I take 4 away, if you remember your fast facts, if I have 6 and I take 4 away, that equals 2. Okay, so 60 minus 40 equals 20. So that's 4 ways that you might choose to do your problems today, okay? All right. So let's turn our page, and we're going to look at the back side where it has the green boxes, okay? All right, so here it says, if you'll go to this first green box right here with me, that's what I'm reading. You can follow along with me. It says, Josh needs to solve, I'm sorry, let me start over. Josh needs to shovel snow from 50 driveways. He has already shoveled 30 of them. How many driveways does Josh have left to shovel? And here's what she says she knows. I know 3 different ways to solve this subtraction problem, okay? One way is to use the hundreds chart, okay? And let's look at that, how she does that. It says one way to solve the problem is to use the 100 chart. Now they've given you a partial hundreds chart. It starts at 11 and goes up to 50. I'm going to put my glasses on so I don't read anything incorrectly. Okay, so it starts at 11 and it goes up to 50. So it's only a part of the 100 chart. It's not the whole thing. So if they're doing 50 minus 30, if you look right here, they've started at 50 and they've got little arrows going up. So he goes up to 40. That's taking 10 away. Once we move up one row, we've taken a 10 away. We move up another row on the column and we've taken 2 10s away. So that puts us at 30. But we've got to take away 30. So we've only taken away 10. So 50 to 40 is 1 10. 40 to 30 is 2 10s. 20 to 30 is 3 10s, or 30 that we've taken away. So 50 minus 30 equals, and you can trace over that because you can see that it equals 20. Okay? All right, another way is to use a number line, just like we did on my board just a minute ago with that 60 minus 40. Okay? So you can see a number line here. And it starts at 20 and it goes all the way up through 50. And just like I hopped a minute ago and I labeled it with a minus 10, so each hop means you're taking 10 away. Okay, so you've got to look at 30. How many 10s do I need to take away? Well, how many 10s are in 30? There's 3. Okay, so I'm going to take 3 10s away. Okay, because 10, 20, 30, 3 10s makes 30. So I'm going to hop. There's minus 1 10, hop again, there's minus another 10, hop again, there's minus another 10, and I landed on 20. I think 20 is the magic answer to the problems today, on our examples anyway. Okay, and then it says you can also think addition to subtract. Okay, he's already done, or he already has 30 done. Okay, he has to do 50. He's got some more to do to get to 50. So 30 plus what equals 50? Well, how many 10s am I going to have to add to 30 to get to 50? And I can count in my head. I've got 30 and I need to get to 50. So 40, 50. I had to add 2 more 10s, and 2 10s is 20. So 30 plus 20 equals 50. So that would mean that 50 minus 30 equals 20. Okay. All right. So down here at the bottom, it says, which strategy would you use to solve 50 minus 40? Okay, you can pick your very own. You can solve it and tell your parents, why would you choose that answer? Okay, maybe looking at a hundreds chart was your way to do it. So maybe it's easy for you to find that 50 on the hundreds chart and look back to 40 to see how many you took away. Maybe the number line was the easiest way for you to do it. So maybe you would go to 50 and you're subtracting 40. So this number line's not quite big enough to show it, but maybe that's an easy way for you to do it. Okay? And if you draw your number line, you have to make sure that you label it with the correct numbers. Okay, and they're all going to be multiples of 10. I'm pretty sure, yes, all of your problems that you solve today are multiples of 10. That means there's not ever going to be anything in the ones place except for a 0 today. Okay, so on your guided practice, it says to use the partial hundreds chart or another subtraction strategy to solve each subtraction problem. Okay, so let's look at the first one. They have 70 minus 10. So let's look at our hundreds chart and let's find 70. Okay, they're taking away 10 away, so that means they're going to take 1 10. Okay, so we're going to hop back one time up that 10 column right there. Okay, so 70 minus 10 equals 60. All right, let's try another one. Okay, we'll do this one together and then I'll leave these bottom 2 for you to do. Okay, so number 2 says 60 minus 20. So I'm going to find 60 on my number line and look at your number 20. How many 10s are in the number 20? 2. Right, so you're going to need to hop back 2 tens. That means you're going to move up that hundreds chart straight up 2 blocks, okay? Because each number, each block is counting by tens. So we're on our 60, 60 minus 20, so I move up 1, that's taking 10 away. I move up 2, that's taking 20 away. Okay, so 60 minus 20 equals 40. Okay, so you would put 40 in that answer space there. Okay, so I want you to stop on these for a second. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to go over what you're going to do on the next 2 pages, and then you'll come back, complete numbers 3 and 4, have mom, dad, whoever is there with you to help you, have them check to make sure you have those 2 correct before you move on, okay? Because if you don't get them correct, you're going to want to figure out why you're making your mistake before you move on to all of your work for the day. Okay, so on the back side, it starts on number 5. Okay, and it says to use the strategy you think works best to solve each subtraction problem. You can solve it any way you want. Maybe you have a way that's not back here that you think works best for you, and that's okay. All right, I just have to introduce you to those strategies. It says explain your reasoning. Okay, so if you were with me at school, you would tell me, why did you choose that way to subtract? Okay, so parents, if you're helping them with their math today and you want them to do the explain your reasoning part, just have them explain to you, why did they choose the number line, or why did they choose the hundreds chart, okay? So you're going to solve number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 any way you want. Again, they're all multiples of 10, okay? And then down here on number 11, it says math and science. Okay, so they're going to connect those 2 subjects together. It says Jacob designs a robot that completes an obstacle course in 54 seconds. Clara designs a robot that completes the same course in 10 fewer seconds than Jacob's robot. How many seconds does Clara's robot take to complete the obstacle course? Write an equation to show your work. So you know how many seconds it took for Jacob's robot to finish the obstacle course. Clara's robot takes 10 less seconds to finish that obstacle course. So you're trying to figure out how many seconds it took for Clara's robot to solve it. Okay, so hers was 10 less. Okay, so think about what you would put in this subtraction equation to figure out how much time it took Clara's robot, how many seconds, and then write your answer here too. Okay, so that's page 643. And then you are going to solve the 4 problems on the back. Choose one strategy you learned to solve each subtraction problem. I'll read over the problems with you. You're going to solve these 4 problems, and then you'll take a picture of the front side and upload it to Seesaw. And actually, yes, just take a picture of the front side, okay? So it says Charlie puts baseball cards into an album. He already put 10 cards in the album. He has 83 cards in all. How many baseball cards does Charlie have left to put in the album? So he's already put 10 in there, but he has to have 83 in there in all. How many more does he need to put in? Okay, so you can choose any strategy that you want to figure out how many more cards he needs to add to his album, or has left to add. Okay, number 13 says Pearl's basketball team scores 50 points in one game. They score the same points in the first half. They score 20 points in the second half. How many points did Pearl's team score in the first half? So they scored 50 points in one basketball game. They scored the same points in the first half. They scored 20 points in the second half. How many points did Pearl's team score in the first half? Okay. All right, and then number 14 says write a subtraction problem for which you would think addition to subtract. Explain why this would be a good strategy to use to solve this problem. So you're going to do one of those where we counted on. When I wrote in red, and we started at 40 and we added more tens to it until we got to 60. Okay, so you're going to make a problem like that, which is using the addition to subtract. And you can also refer back to this little green talk bubble right here on this page. That will help you with that one also. Okay. All right. And then number 15 says explain how you would use a hundreds chart or a 100 chart to solve 60 minus 20. Okay. All right. Good luck.